What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first live stream I'm doing in like literally a year. When I was setting this up, I was looking at the live stream part of the YouTube channel on the back end. I was like, when was the last time I actually went live? And it was September 8th of last year. So I guess it's like this time of year is when I just get the itch to start live streaming again. Thank you for joining. If you're live or if you're watching this on the replay, appreciate it. Let me know where you are tuning in from in the chat. I got the live chat pulled up here. And for the first time, we also have the Discord live chat going. So links are in the description and here in the live chat. To join the Discord, I highly recommend you join up over there. We've been having a really good time. The community's growing. A lot of really cool stuff happening over there. Yeah, so this is going to be a look at the new Fender Strat that just dropped today. I've had this guitar for about a week now. Little inside baseball. They sent it out to me about a week ago. Fender did send me this guitar. They did not ask for a video. They did not ask for any kind of review or promotion or anything like that. And to be honest with you, I didn't decide to do a live stream on this guitar until about 3 hours ago. So, yeah. And I think it's actually pretty interesting because this guitar is, it's confusing, man. it's a little weird. So, yeah, hold on. Give me a second to get caught up on the chat and everything here. So yeah, if you didn't see, Fender released a new line of guitars today. They're calling it the, oh my God, what are they calling it? The American Ultra Luxe Vintage. Now, on its surface, this is an interesting guitar because it's kind of a blend of two very different guitars. So this is obviously the Strat, the triple single coil Strat. They do an HSS version, and then they do a Tele, which is also a little interesting. We'll get into all that later. The price points are interesting. Everything about this is interesting to me. So, yeah, some quick rundown on the specs. I'm going to read the influencer brief that they sent over. Typically companies don't do this, or at least if they do, they don't send them to me, but Fender did. It's kind of funny. We can look at it later if you want, but basically this is kind of a blend of the American Vintage 2 series, and then the American Ultra 2. So a while ago, I did a video on the Ultra 2. I've done a few videos on it. Really cool guitar, very, very modern, but not too modern, not too out of left field, at least for my taste, kind of being more of the vintage guy. The American Vintage series is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a straight ahead sort of modern recreation of an early 60s or early 50s Strat or Tele, depending on what you're going for. This is like the two of them had a baby. So on its surface, the first thing I noticed when I took it out of the case is the finish. Truly, one of my favorite things about this guitar is the finish. You're not going to be able to tell probably on the camera. Yeah, you can kind of see. See, there's some light checking in there. Very, very light checking. The hardware is lightly aged. This is not a full-on relic or anything like that, but we've just got, you know, they've knocked a little bit of the shine off the chrome there, which is a nice touch. The finish is awesome. Now, I don't know if this is nitro. If anyone in the chat can tell me, I was looking around online and they're calling it, let's see, there's a name for it, heirloom lacquer finish, but they don't say nitro. So there's a question for me there as to whether or not this is like a true nitrocellulose lacquer finish. It feels like a nitro finish. Kind of smells like lacquer. You know, when you get a new guitar that has that sort of new lacquer smell in the case, it's got that kind of thing going on. But then the appointments are all pretty modern. So you get the same locking tuners. I believe the same locking tuners there on the Ultra Pro 2. You're getting a Tusk American Ultra 2, not the Ultra Pro 2. Yeah. These names are all over the place. 2-point tremolo system, which I really like. I really like the modern tremolo. It's great for that, like, be honest with you, I didn't even tune this guitar. I haven't tuned this guitar in like 2 days. I put it in E flat a few days ago, and it's pretty close. It's held its tune pretty well. Setup out of the box was damn good. This came straight from Fender. This didn't go through Sweetwater or Guitar Center or anything. This just came straight from Corona. Setup out of the box was good. And I will play without like a bunch of effects and stuff in a little bit. I know people always complain when I do that. We'll hear the guitar just by itself. Barely enough reverb. I can add more reverb. You want more? Yeah. No, we'll go sans effects here in a little bit. By the way, I'm playing through the Quad Cortex today. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the price. We're going to get into the price in just a little bit. What are the specs? Stainless steel frets is sick. I love the stainless steel frets. It's got the glow-in-the-dark dot inlays that the American Ultra also has. And then they're claiming that this neck shape is also from the American Ultra. At least that's what it says here in this influencer brief. Now, I had the Ultra 2. I just sold it last week. But I had it for about a year, played it a lot. This doesn't feel like the Ultra 2 neck to me. The Ultra 2 neck, to me, was sort of the downfall of that guitar, which is the neck was just a little too thin for my taste. This feels a little beefier. Not by much, but it doesn't feel as thin as the modern one does. Compound radius, pure vintage single coil pickups, which I believe are the same pickups that are in the American Vintage too. So you see that this is kind of like just a blend of the two different things. It's cool. Like on the surface, it's a cool guitar, but I'm not totally sure who this is for, because someone like me who tends to lean more towards the vintage side of things, whether it's a Fender or a Gibson or like my Shabbat Strat, which we can pull the Shabbat out in a little bit and compare it to this if you guys want to see that. But I typically lean more vintage. If you watch the channel a lot, you know that about me. The modern stuff is cool. It has a lot of great, modern creature comfort playability things that I really dug. But I feel like you're either going to go for one or the other. You're either going to go for the vintage correct new guitar, or you're going to go for the more modern guitar that has the modern look, the modern bells and whistles, the noiseless single coils, all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure who this guitar is for. Let me get caught up in the chat here. Yeah, $3,000 US. Okay, so let's talk about the price here. Let me switch over. So this is the guitar that I'm playing right now. I think this is like the actual one. Again, I didn't get mine through Sweetwater. I've just got Sweetwater pulled up here. So this is identical to this guitar. Now, I've not weighed this guitar, so I don't know what the actual weight is here, but $2,849. Now, if we go back and you look at the rest of the lineup here, this one is, see, the Surf Green and the Ice Blue Metallic, both $2,849. Then the Tele, why is the Tele $3,000? This is also confusing to me. To me, the Telecaster should be less expensive than the Strat because there's less going on here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this has a tremolo system. This has more parts on it than a Telecaster. A Telecaster is a more simple design. Now, it does have some deluxe features. It's got the body carve and stuff, I think, that the Strat has, but like, why is the Tele more expensive? This is a Sir competitor, Nick says. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. This is going after that sort of like, call it lower premium tier, upper mid tier sort of boutique stuff. That like high $2,000, low $3,000 line of guitars. Yeah. Oh, it also electronics. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention. It does have the S1 switch out of the American Ultra 2, which is cool. We can hear that. If you don't know what the S1 switch does, it basically adds the neck into the position 1 and position 2. So here's bridge, and I'll turn off all the shit here. So that's his bridge. Here it is with the neck in. So that's cool. The real, I think, magic of the S1 though is when you go to position 2. So you've got middle and bridge together. And then we add the neck in, you get all three. This is a sick sound. Yeah, that's cool. Here's the neck by itself. Trying to be careful how I play this because I am tuned down a half step and I will get demonetized for that. Switch to a slightly more overdriven kind of sound here. Okay, so Not a Gavin Fox in the chat says, I feel like they're trying to keep people in the Fender world by building a guitar to compete with the Sir. I've seen that so far a couple times in the chat. Like, yeah, it's competing with Sir, and I think you're right. They're trying to keep people in the Fender ecosystem. And that's cool. I understand that. It's a good guitar, but at $2,800 to $3,000, especially when you start looking at the used market, I think there's some other compelling options like Sir, like a lot of the more boutique brands, especially if you're looking to go used, secondhand on Reverb or eBay or your local guitar shop. Like you can probably find what was a higher quality guitar, higher spec guitar, more boutique guitar on the used market for around the same price as this is. It's not going to say Fender on the headstock if that matters to you. I don't know if that matters to you or not. But it sounds good, man. Like, I'll tell you what, the stainless steel frets, I'm a fan of. I would put stainless on everything. Yeah. All right, we got any questions about it so far before we dig any deeper? What did I just knock over? Oh, my light. Oh no. Okay. You can get a Novo for that price. Can you get? I don't think you can get a new Novo for. Well, I guess you could. Let me see. It's been a while since I've looked. Definitely something on the used market though. See, Stephen Douglas says Fender had something similar for a couple years back in 2014 called the American Vintage Reissue Hot Rod Strat. Seems like very similar minus the SS frets. Yeah, I had the first Telecaster I ever had was the 52 American Hot Rod Tele. It was the one that had the Seymour Duncan mini humbucker in the neck. And that was a great guitar. That was one of the ones that I sold though to buy my Novo, to buy the one behind me here, the pink sparkle one. Yeah, killer guitar. The Sparked Brain says no guitar is worth $3,000. No, completely disagree. I think there's a lot of guitars out there that are worth $3,000 and worth more. But the whole thing with worth is it's completely subjective. It comes down to, would you spend $3,000 on a guitar or not? I would. I have. So to me, yeah, there are plenty of guitars out there that are worth $3,000. If you wouldn't spend that much money, I think it's totally fair, totally subjective. But the whole argument, we talked about this on Dipped in Tone a few weeks ago, the whole thing about like no guitar is worth X just isn't true. It's completely subjective. It's down to whether or not you would spend that much money on a guitar, and everyone's line is in a different place there. We all have a different gauge or perspective for that. Royale with Cheese, how much was the Pink Novo? The Pink Novo was $4,000 when I bought it in 2017. It took every last dollar and cent I had to my name. I told the story before, but I blew out my savings, sold 2 guitars, sold a bunch of pedals, maxed out a credit card to get that guitar. And still, that's the best purchase I've ever made. Emiliano says, build your own for $3,000. Dude, if I ever built a guitar, it would be the worst. It'd be the worst guitar ever. So yeah, I mean, look, it's cool. It's a really, really cool guitar. I'm glad they did it, but I'm not sure that anyone was looking for this. I don't know if anybody was saying like, man, I wish I could have the American Ultra 2, but with a vintage finish and vintage pickups. Because that's essentially what this is. It is the Ultra 2. It even has the rubberized controls, which I do like, actually, the rubberized knobs here for the volume and 2 tones. Spec-wise, other than the pickups and the finish, it pretty much is the Ultra 2. I mean, it comes with a vintage case. The Ultra 2 comes with the more modern, like, roto-molded plastic case, which I like a little better. Actually, it's much more roadworthy. Like, I would fly with the stock Fender sort of blow molded or roto molded plastic case. I would fly with that. I wouldn't fly with this. This is like their typical vintage case. You can see it against the back wall there. What's the amp setting? I'm using the, you can kind of get a shot of it here. I've got the Quad Cortex pulled up, and I'm using the SLO 100 plug-in that's been ported over to the Quad Cortex, and I really dig it. Like, it sounds good. I've got the real SLO on the shelf behind me there, and this thing sounds great. Sounds like a Strat, looks like a Strat, it plays like a Strat. It's a Strat. The other question I have is, could Gibson do this? Like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It seems that Fender gets away with a lot of stuff that Gibson could never get away with. Like, I feel like the guitar community polices these brands differently, if that makes sense. Like, what would the Gibson equivalent of this guitar be? It'd be a Les Paul, and it would be a modernized Les Paul with some slightly different body features, some different carves. Oh, that's the other thing is I forgot to mention on the back of the body, it does have the Ultra 2, I'm on the wrong camera, has the Ultra 2 cutout there, and the sort of relieved neck plate, which is cool. It's more ergonomic. I just don't think Gibson could ever get away with this. You know, like if they came out with a modernized Les Paul that had a vintage finish, a vintage look, and vintage pickups, but it was stainless frets, locking tuners, a tweaked body carve, a tweaked heel carve, some kind of advanced switching system, I feel like the guitar community would throw a fit over that. It's like people expect Gibson, and I'm one of these people. I mean, I was the one in 2019, like the first video that I ever had that went big was me trashing Gibson for making that god-awful 2019 Les Paul that had, you know, and they couldn't say it in the promotion, but they were saying like, oh yeah, it sounds like a Tele, it sounds like a Strat. It's like, no, that's not what that is. But I do think that they should try to modernize the line in some ways, but it feels like they have to walk a much narrower, a much tighter tightrope than Fender does. I feel like Fender has much more leeway and headroom to experiment and say like, oh yeah, here's a Strat, but it's stainless steel frets, noiseless pickups, S1 switching system, completely different body shape and body carve. It's a completely modernized look and people dig it. But Gibson can't do that. Robot Shlomo says, Gibson are the New York Yankees of the guitar world. You don't expect them to rip up the grass and put down AstroTurf. Yeah. But at some point, these brands have to innovate. And I think that's what Fender's trying to do here. They're trying to create something that is filling a gap in the market to try and sell you another guitar. But my confusion with this guitar is that I don't know that gap really existed to begin with. Again, I don't know anybody that was looking for something like this. Other than, we've seen it several times here in the chat already, people are looking for, or they think that Fender was trying to compete with Suhr. But even that, like, I don't know that Suhr sells enough guitars to compete with Fender. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that Suhr is a big enough player in the game to compete with Fender. I think they would be looking much more closely at PRS. I would guess that Fender has lost a lot of new Stratocaster sales to the Silver Sky, especially when the Silver Sky SE came out and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's more so what they're going after, rather than a smaller builder like Suhr. Like, yes, Suhr has grown, and they're no longer a sort of super boutique brand, but they're nowhere near as big as Fender or PRS. They're great guitars, like, don't get me wrong, but next year Fender, here's a new headless Strat. Oh geez. Yeah, no, thank you. That'll be it's gonna be a no for me, dog. Let's get a different kind of sound going here. This is the mood, by the way. I dialed in a little like C# minor kind of sound. Let's kick on the Chroma console and a little stereo chorusing. A little delay, maybe. We'll take. Oh, Jay Burke over in the Discord chat's requesting some polyend mess sounds. If you can't see, I do have the I've got the poly end mess set up here. I was playing it earlier, and where I've got it powered right now, it's on a different... I'm having some noise issues with it. So we can try it out, but it might get a little noisy, like some digital kind of sounds, you know? Hacky fish. Weird, mine only makes thick metal chug sounds. Yeah, you must have gotten a different one, dude, because mine won't do that. I've tried. It just doesn't know. It can't do it. Yeah, it's a killer sounding guitar, man. Like, really, really good. But yeah, again, I don't know. Like, I just didn't. I don't know what. I'm not saying don't buy it. I think it's cool. I just don't see who they're going after. I mean, tell me in the chat, is anybody here seriously looking at either the Strat, the HSS Strat, or the Tele at $2,800 to $3,000? Which again, I don't understand why the Telecaster is more expensive. Someone said earlier that the body is ash, which is a more premium wood for sure. But I also think, let's see, what is this one? Is this alder? Let's see, maple neck, rosewood board. Let's go down to specs here. Let's pull this up on the old interwebs. So we'll go to the one that I'm actually playing, which is this. And we'll go down to specs. Wow, that was a great animation. Let's see here. No. Where are the specs at? Did I miss it? Okay. Luminary dots, 10 to 14 compound radius, modern D, alder body. Okay, so maybe that is where the difference in price is coming from. The Strat is alder, and the oh wait, wrong keyboard. I've got two computers in front of me right now, and two different chat windows, and just a lot of stuff trying to read here. Okay, anybody here thinking about getting one? Ain't nobody got that kind of cash right now. Things are tight in this economy. If I liked it, I'd buy it. See, Gavin Fox, I bought an American Vintage Reissue 2 Jazz because I prefer the vintage spec. It seems like you either are a diehard vintage spec or don't care much about specs, so I'm not entirely sure who would decide to buy this at $3K. I completely agree, and that's what I was saying a minute ago. It's like, if I'm spending the money, well, yeah, no, if I'm spending the money, I would personally go American Vintage 2 out of this line. The Ultra 2 is great, but it's just a little too, again, I couldn't get on with the neck, and this neck is similar to that one. They're saying that it's the same kind of profile. I don't think so. I think this is a little bigger, but Cody's room, 3K is wild. Well, don't forget, we're in tariff world now. Like, this is what I was saying a few months ago when I made that video about Trump's tariffs blowing up the guitar market. This is the new norm. We're going to see prices just go up because it's now more expensive to manufacture stuff. Even the stuff that is manufactured here in the United States, like Fender. I've been to the Fender factory. They're in Corona. It's a huge factory. They're employing American workers. But if you know anything about how stuff is made, you know that most of the parts, most of the materials that go into a guitar like this, from the wood to, the steel and the magnets and the copper wire that's winding the pickups, all that stuff is coming from other places. And when your cost of production goes up, your overall cost goes up. Fender is a business. They're a corporation. They're going to pass that cost on to us. And I think that's what we're seeing here, So again, keep that in mind. We're going to see prices go up on everything in the guitar market, especially the electronic stuff. Pedals, modelers, it's just going to get expensive, man. And it sucks because it really doesn't have to be that way. It's a completely idiotic and stupid thing that this administration is doing. So yeah, I'll happily lose subscribers over that one. I don't care. If that pisses you off, by all means, unsubscribe. But yeah, let's see here. Oh, Subi's in the chat. What's up, Subi? Oh, I always forget to plug stuff in these live streams. We're running a sale right now on Fretboard Fundamentals Ultimate. You can get, I think, 40-something% off if you click the link in the description or in the chat. And also join the Discord server. Got a good handful of people hanging out. In fact, let's check in with the Discord chat. Let's see. I would get a Sir or an Ibanez for that price. Compound radius is pretty cool, though. What Ibanez would you go for that's equivalent to this in terms of spec and layout? Admittedly, I don't know much about the Ibanez world, so it's a little out of my wheelhouse. I think, again, most people are probably going to go for, what is the Silver Sky? What does the Silver Sky go for? Let's see. So we're looking at this guitar, 2850. Let's just look for a full fat PRS Silver Sky. Yeah, 2750, $100 less than this. Now, I do like this color better. Although this Midnight Rose, that's a really nice color, dude. That's great. So again, I think a lot of players are probably at this price point going to lean, if they're interested in this kind of Strat, which is like a blend of the vintage and the modern, this is what they're going for. And I think that's what Fender is doing here. I think this is their Silver Sky competitor. I think they realize that they've lost a lot of the market share to PRS, especially with John Mayer going over there and this being tied to John Mayer and him being so synonymous with the Strat. This is what they're trying to compete with. They're trying to win back some of the Silver Sky market. But I don't know if that's going to work for them, because once you buy a guitar like that, I'm not going to go buy another guitar like that. You know what I mean? Like, I have a 335. I'm not now shopping for more 335 style guitars because I have one. Now, that's just me. I know a lot of people like to spend money buying guitars and flipping guitars and stuff, but I think the market overall, especially in this economy, this is what they do. It's like, so if you ended up with a Silver Sky or Silver Sky style guitar, it's like you've got it. Oh, thanks for the top chat. Never Not Whammy. How do you radius the saddles on a compound radius neck guitar? That is a really good question. That I don't know. I don't know how to tell you. I think you go for sort of a happy medium on the setup. I know there's people in the chat that are way more experienced at setting up specifically Strats than I am. I've not traditionally been a huge Strat player, but All right, let's see here. If I were at Fender, what new line would you have made instead of this? And that's the other challenging part of this, right? How do guitar companies continue to innovate and get more product out and try and sell us another guitar? Well, they have to try new stuff. So again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to shit on Fender here. I'm not. I think this is a great guitar. I really do like it. I just think it's an interesting choice. Although now that we sort of processed it together here on the live stream, I think I understand what they're going for here. But I don't know what I would have done differently if I was in Fender's case, because if you look at their lineup of sort of the core model guitars, the Strat, the Tele, the Jazzmaster, they kind of have a lot of it covered. They've got the vintage stuff at different price points, right? You've got the vintage spec stuff at the entry-level Squire stuff, the Mexican sort of mid-tier Ventera series stuff, which is excellent. My Jazzmaster is the Ventera 2. It's incredibly good for the money. And not even for the money, it's just a really good guitar. Then you got the American line of stuff, and then you go custom shop, and they've got that covered for Strats, Teles, and everything. So where do you go from there? Well, you do stuff like this. You hybridize things. Oh yeah, it's super modern spec, super modern feel. It looks vintage. It's basically what it is. GTG, thanks for the top chat, man. I think you can consider a Fender postmodern custom shop in the used market for this kind of price. You're right. You totally can. At this like, I mean, call it $3,000 by the time you're on this guitar, by the time you've paid taxes and everything like that. And for the Tele, I mean, it's retailing at $3,000. So when you're in this $3,000 range, you can get a lot of guitar for your money, especially if you're looking to go used. Let's see here. The other interesting thing is, had this guitar come out 5 years ago, well, 2020, maybe that's not a good example. 2020 was nuts. Had this guitar come out 2 years ago, I think this would have been $22 to $24.99. I think this would have been in the mid 2000 price point. I think now, because of the tariffs, exclusively, it is pushing $3,000. James Burke, Paranormal series made in USA or Mexico, or if they really need the McGee Sig Jag. Yeah, that would be a really, really good, get. Thanks for the top chat, James. You want to hear the Jazzmaster with those ambient effect vibes? Yeah, we can do that. We can grab the Jazzmaster in a minute. Can I play without all the ambient stuff? Yeah, let's go just relatively dry. Still, man, the middle position is the most slept on Strat sound. I think it's, aside from the neck, it is my favorite Strat sound. You can just do so much with it, you know? A little, nope. We'll slap back. Subi, thanks for the top chat, man. I've always loved American Vintage Reissue 57 Strats and have had 10 of them. Damn. But the Silver Sky is just better. Is that guitar trying to take that on? Sounds kind of frosty, like more hi-fi. Yes, I think that Fender's going after Silver Sky here. And I'll be honest, I don't think this is the guitar to do it. I think it's funny what PRS has managed to do with the Silver Sky is they built a Strat. It is a Strat. Zach and I were arguing about this on Dipped in Tone the other day. But Silver Sky is a Strat. You know, you can say that they put all the R&D into it and worked with John for years, and they built a really great Strat. But they've also somehow managed to make it its own sort of brand, if that makes sense. Like, you call it the Silver Sky. You don't call it the PRS Strat. You don't call it their S-type guitar. You don't call it any of the other brands and boutique builders that build Strats, which there's a lot of them. They always call it something Strat-ish, Strat adjacent, S-type, something like that. But PRS managed to copy the Strat, but still give it its own thing, its own brand, its own vibe in a way. And they built a hell of a guitar, man. I mean, I do like the Silver Sky. I've never owned one. I'd like to at some point, but I just don't think people are going to, especially with the John Mayer connection and all that kind of stuff, I don't think people are going to end up buying this over the Silver Sky. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I'm seeing a lot of people say Silver Sky is a better Strat. I actually don't agree. I think it's a really, really good Strat. This is a really, really good Strat. The American Vintage 2 is a really good Strat. The American Ultra 2 is a really good Strat. I don't think they're better. That's going to be, you know, a lot of people disagree with me, but that's fine. Amish, thanks, man. Interesting that the Silver Sky might be the first competitor that Fender felt like they had to keep up with. Usually everyone has been chasing them. And of course, right on about tariffs. Thanks, man. And yeah, you're right. Like, PRS did a hell of a thing. They built a Strat that I think rattled Fender corporate. Now, I don't think the NF53 is going to have the same effect. I don't think people are going to, those guitars are too different. People aren't going to be shopping for a Telecaster on a mass scale and end up with the NF53 instead of the Tele. They're just two different things. The NF53 is a cool guitar. It's really great, but like, it doesn't do the Tele thing. Dave, top chat, thanks, man. Silver Sky worked because there's no backplate by design. Hot take. I don't agree. I think that's kind of neither here nor there. I personally, I don't care if a Strat has a backplate or not, or you take it off or you don't take it off. It's whatever. Okay, good. I'm glad you're joking. I was like, I don't know if that makes sense, man. Loyal George would never play a PRS. I mean, maybe. A little chroma console on this. Arthur in the top chat, I don't know what's so special about a Silver Sky. I've been a Gibson type player, so I truly don't know what's so great about it. And yeah, it's just a really good Strat. It's built well. It has the PRS-ification on the classic Fender design. That's basically why it's done so well. It's got the PRS quality control. It's got the PRS sort of fit and finish. A lot of people surprisingly shit on the headstock. They think the headstock ruins it. I actually really like the PRS headstock. And I think it works well in the Silver Sky. But I just don't agree. When everyone says like, oh yeah, the Silver Sky is so much better than any Fender. I'm like, no. I think it depends on what you're looking at. That would actually be a good comparison. I should get my hands on a Silver Sky and compare it to this. Maybe that's what we do. Shouldn't be too hard to track down a Silver Sky. There's a bunch of them out there. It just sounds nice. No, I did not check out the Chase Bliss Lost and Found yet. I don't know if I'm gonna try, because it's a really cool pedal, but I have a lot of stuff that does that sort of multi-effect kind of thing. I have 3 pedals on my board that 4 pedals on my board that'll do that multi-effect kind of thing. So yeah, it's a great sounding Strat though. All right, let's go back to let's put a bunch of shit on this because it's fun. Try to get the mood involved here. Yeah. Try and load up the mood here. So that's one thing I like to do is play really high voicing. All right, mood trick. So play a really high voicing with the what am I on here? The tape setting? Yeah. And then bring the clock down and bring the speed down. So check this out. And then now we've got a really badass, super deep, lo-fi. Come on, dude. Like this is why I love the mood. Listen to that. And then if you really want to vibe it out, we'll put on some reverb after it. So that's the reverb from the mood. All right, what key was I in? Yeah, okay. Put on some chroma console too here. And then, yeah, let's see what this does. Yeah, dude, I love doing that. Make it a little higher voicing now. Something in time. So I've got a little delay coming from the chroma console, and then we're going to add way too much stereo delay. That's nice. Oh man, yeah, dude. Get a mood. Find a used one, a Mood Mark 1. Get on Reverb, find a used Mood Mark 1, because there's a lot of them for sale. Because what happens is people buy them, they don't really. It's a difficult pedal to wrap your head around initially. It's actually not a hard pedal to use. It's just hard to kind of understand what it's doing. But when you learn how to use it and you learn what it's doing, it's very, very easy to use. Get a used Mood Mark 1 for a steal, and just, it's so good. It's a distortion on the board there. Turn that off. One other thing I've been experimenting with, I don't know if you can really see it here. So I've got the, we're playing through the Quad Cortex here. This is a patch I made, SLO 100. There's probably some new people in here that didn't hear this explanation the first time. So I got a few presets saved. This is like I was going for kind of a Lukather, Dan Huff kind of thing here. You know, like, you know, you get it. LA, 83, 84 kind of sound. It's the Soldano plugin that's ported to the Quad Cortex. But one thing I've been doing to go for more of that 80s Huff sort of thing, which, by the way, Dan Huff started a YouTube channel. If you guys haven't seen this, Robert Baker, doing the Lord's work up there in Tennessee, convinced Dan Huff to start his own YouTube channel. Someone can drop it here in the chat. Dan with 2 N's. Go check it out. It's pretty good so far. He talks a lot. He's rambling, but it's great because you just hear all this stuff. Their first video, or I guess the newest video, the one they just put out, all about his tone, his playing and stuff. It's so good. He's got his early matchless in that video. It's great. Natty K, thanks for the top chat, man. Make one with a reverse CBS large headstock, and I'm all in. Now that's a cool idea. Somebody was asking earlier, you know, what I would do if I was at Fender, and maybe that's a cool angle, is going after, and I know they've done this for years with artist signature models and stuff, but like going after some specific guitars and doing that, like the Hendrix Woodstock Strat. Make that. Not a custom shop, not a limited run, not super expensive or crazy. Like, make that a core model. You know what I mean? Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, 80s. So in here, I've got the guitar going into the amp block, the SLO, and then in between the amp block and the speaker cab, I've got a noise gate, which is side-chained to the input. Little pro move, little pro tip for you there. A lot of you high-gain guys have been doing this for years, but I am new to noise gates. So it's side-chained to the guitar's input. But before that, I have this pitch shifter block that's adding a single octave up, and it's only blended in at 5%. So check this out, because I was wanting like that really glassy 80s Dan Huff, Lukather, Landau kind of thing with a Strat. And I got pretty close. So this is without the octave up, right? Kill my mic here. With some stereo chorus. That's the TC2290 stereo chorus in there. It sounds great. That's glassy. That's nice, but check this out. You add just a touch, I mean, just a touch of that pitch shifter in there. Especially when you do have a lot of reverb and stuff on, it helps the guitar sort of stand out. And I know I did not come up with this, by the way. I'm not saying I invented this. I'm just saying this is what I've been doing recently, and it's great. now that you know it's there, you can kind of hear it. You can hear the octave, especially on some single note stuff. But if you turn it off, it's not bad. It just loses a little bit of that like cut. Yeah. So there you go. If you're using a modeler, throw a pitch shifter block in after your amp block and before your speaker cab. Pitch it up an octave and just 2 or 3 or 5% in there, and you're off to the races. Linus, thanks for the top chat, man. Would you say there's a sweet spot Fender series for price-performance ratio? In my opinion, if I were Fender, I'd revamp the Performer series. Yeah, the Ventera 2 series is fantastic. To me, that's their, like, right in the pocket for a Fender. Made in Mexico, but it's basically all the same parts. It's the same stuff. The American factory and the Mexican factory are 90 miles apart from each other. And they're building great guitars, really great guitars in Mexico. And you're, getting that savings. Although I will say with the tariffs, that probably will change. And by probably, I mean, I definitely will change. So, but yeah, Ventera 2 series is really good. And the new Player 2 series is good. And that's the other interesting thing. I made a video about that a couple months ago about the Player 2 Strat. And again, it's like the budget version of this and the Ultra series. Spec for spec, it's very, very close to the Ultra 2. It's very modern. It has S1 switching system. It just doesn't have the button, which I will admit I don't like. I've never liked this. The push button in the volume is not great. I would much rather have the push-pull tone or volume. Or to be honest with you, I might just delete the S1 switching system out of this. It's cool, but it's only cool to me, it's cool for one thing, and that is being able to have the bridge and the neck on simultaneously, and there's other ways to do that than using the S1 switch. You can put a blender pot in to the tone pots. Yeah, so. Arthur, what time frame do you think the tariffs will hit really hard? We're already feeling it. As we were talking about earlier with this guitar, I mean, I think the reason this is priced where it is because these companies are already feeling the supply chain issues and the effects of the tariffs. And again, they're going to pass that on to the consumer. Guitarologist said tariffs won't affect anything. He's wrong. I mean, sorry. But put Jaguar switches, then you can easily have all pickup combination. Yeah. This would be a cool guitar to mod. I was cleaning out my closet earlier this week or last week, and I found years ago I had bought one of the Clapton mid-boost Strat circuits that Fender sells with the intention of putting it in a guitar, and then I put it in the top of my closet, and it disappeared, and I completely forgot about it. But I found it the other day, and I don't know, it might be cool to put in this guitar. I was looking up how to do it. It's pretty invasive. You got to route the body out. You have to find a place to put the battery and all that kind of stuff. Yes. Oh, Rhett Tanner, any in the Discord chat, just putting this out there for anyone interested in an American Fender Strat. A lot of people have been bringing new Strats and Tellies, American Pro, Vintage Ultra for setups, and the quality control is just awful on a lot of them. Chips in the paint, sharp buzzing frets, bad binding. So that's the other thing. We talked about Gibson earlier and how Gibson has way less leeway, I think, with the market than Fender does in terms of being able to do this kind of stuff, like modernize their lines and all that kind of stuff. But then there's also the quality control angle, which is that Gibson has been shat on for years for their quality control and stuff like that. And Fender has had the same level. Well, I don't know if I should say the same. Fender also has quality control issues that seemingly don't get talked about online. So it's just weird. It's weird to me that Fender and PRS genuinely is one of the few guitar companies out there, I think, that doesn't seem to have that many QC issues. But yeah. Let's see here. Oh yes, don't forget, you can get Fretboard Fundamentals Ultimate, links in the chat, link is in the description if you want to check that out. We'll go for another couple minutes here, so if you guys got questions, you can @me in the chat. The other thing I like about having that octave block in there is when you are finger picking, it makes the string noise kind of pick up and cut through a little better. Danielle, what's the finish like? Yeah, I showed this earlier, but if you're just tuning in, so there is some nice checking. Let's see if I can get this on this camera. It's a little difficult. There you go. So some nice checking in the lacquer. It is a lacquer finish. The hardware is slightly aged, very, very slightly aged. It's not like a full-on relic or anything. It's very tastefully done. And I didn't know that they were doing that until I unboxed. I took this guitar out of the case and saw it. I'm like, damn. The checking's nice. It's proper. It's proper checking. I would guess they're probably doing this with maybe freezer checking. It is actually checked. It's not done with like a razor blade. So that's cool. You know, each one will be slightly different, but also kind of the same. It's like, you know. Alex, I know you've been getting into synths and drum machines lately. You just bought an Osmos. Have you tried one out yet? No, I've not. I have jumped headfirst into the Electron world. I have a Digitac 2, a Digitone 2, and an Analog Rhythm Mark II, and an Octatrack Mark II. So I've got the suite. Although I will say recently I got my hands on Polyend, sent me the Tracker Plus, which is really, really cool. Very interesting way of making music. If you know about trackers, it's how early video game music was composed, was with this tracker software. And it's like you're making music on a spreadsheet, which sounds strange and weird, and it kind of is when you first start getting into it. But then the learning curve is not too steep. You learn it pretty quick and pick up on it. It's a really fun way. You end up making stuff, making grooves, making beats or whatever that you wouldn't do on an MPC or even one of the Electron boxes. Totally cool. Riley, high gain. Yeah, we can get some gain. Michael, what's up, man? Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. My hands today are, I'm not going to show it. It's kind of gross, but yesterday I was working down in the basement and I put gloves on that I think the last time I used those work gloves, I was doing fiberglass insulation, and I put those gloves on and did some work. And when I woke up this morning, my hands are covered in, it doesn't feel great. It's, so it doesn't feel very nice to play right now. So check your gloves, I guess. Can I share my presets? Yeah, I could put this one up on the Cortex Cloud. Yeah, good old fiberglass rash. Yeah, it doesn't feel very good. It's on my palms. It's cool. Well, I think that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for hanging out for the stream. Like I said, I'm getting into this more regularly again. It's been a year since I've done any serious live streaming, so yeah, if you've stuck around to the end, thank you very much. Don't forget to join the Discord. Server link is in the description, and it's been popping up here in the chat. And you can get, I think, 40% off of Fretboard Fundamentals Ultimate if you want to check that out. It's a great way to support the channel if you like what I'm doing over here. And if you've been watching this on the replay, you're a hero. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. My name is Rhett Shull. Thank you guys so much. I will probably see y'all next week on another one of these. See y'all.